Hey y'all, I'm sure we've all felt at one point or another like we're on the receiving end of life, like we're powerless to change the situation we found ourselves in, or that our goals seem more unattainable than we initially thought. And while there are many things outside of our control, we have to decide whether we're willing to let those things determine our success. In this video, I'm going to talk about how we can begin to take control of our life and stop allowing ourselves to be a victim of circumstance. So if this interests you, stick around, but before we jump in, make sure to like and subscribe to help with the YouTube algorithm. Alright, let's get to it. Have you ever found yourself at a point in life where things feel like they're falling apart? Maybe you woke up one morning with a feeling of dissatisfaction or general lack of contentment. Maybe life has dealt you an unfair share of bad hands and unfavorable things just seem to keep piling on one after another. At various times in our lives, it feels like life is happening at us, like the whole world is conspiring for our failure or simply just to ruin our day. You can't help but feel like a victim of fate or a cosmic punchline for a joke made solely at your own expense. When it feels like life has got you pinned up against the ropes and nothing is going your way, it is hard to want to do anything but submit and throw in the towel, accepting that this is just the way it is. However, what if I told you that it may not be that life is holding you back? That your current situation or status is actually under your control? What if a shift in your mindset can help change your life entirely? There is a term in psychology referred to as the locus of control, which describes one's belief system regarding not just the cause of what they experience, but the very factors that determine whether they succeed or fail in life. The locus of control is split into two categories: internal, where one believes that their actions and effort directly affect the outcomes of their life, and external, where one attributes their successes or failures to factors outside of their control, like luck or fate. For example, someone with an external locus of control may say something like, "If only I had money for a gym membership, then I would be healthy." Whereas someone with an internal locus of control might say, "I don't need a gym membership to be healthier. I can do so without it." Or they would take action to be able to afford that membership, like cutting costs elsewhere. Epictetus, a Greek Stoic philosopher born into slavery, was credited with saying, "The more we value things outside of our control, the less control we have." And what Epictetus meant by this is that by placing our focus on trying to change things that we cannot affect, we neglect to focus on the things that we actually can. By focusing on things we can't control, we inevitably run into resistance and experience feelings of helplessness. Those that have an external locus of control begin to feel like victims of fate and like their actions have no real worth or impact when it comes to their outcomes in life. They feel defeated over and over again and ultimately seek control over their own life. However, when one chooses to instead focus on the things that they do have control over, their outlook and outcomes will drastically improve over time. By deciding to no longer be a passive onlooker and instead take an active role in your life, you have already begun to shift control into your hands. Instead of lamenting over the things that you cannot control, start focusing on the things that you are able to affect. For example, when your outdoor plans are canceled due to inclement weather, instead of complaining and sulking about it, choose other indoor plans that are just as fun. Or, if a coworker was chosen over you for a promotion, devise a plan to make yourself the ideal candidate for the next. Or look for another company that better appreciates the skills you do have. The main idea here is to not idle over anything you cannot directly control, and instead place your efforts on actions that will be effective in achieving your desired outcomes. I personally noticed the benefit of this shift of focus early on in life when I was just beginning my fitness journey. Back when I first began playing rugby in high school, I was a solid 150 pounds soaking wet. Yeah, that used to be me. It did not take much time before I became interested in building muscle, and I tried working out and eating more, but just could not put on the weight that I wanted. I chalked up my failures to being an ectomorph or a hard gainer. I focused on blaming genetics and things that were outside of my control, reducing the blame and shifting the fault from myself. And it took another year or so before I decided I wasn't happy with those excuses, and that I wouldn't be satisfied until I can hold my own weight on the rugby pitch. I chose to learn everything I could about building muscle, and soon learned that I was making a number of mistakes, likely keeping me from successfully achieving my goal. Once I had intentionally decided to take action and lead with purpose, I had gained about 15 pounds within the following year and successfully worked up to 190 just a few short years after, making me not only a more formidable rugby player, but more confident and capable overall in life. If I had just succumbed to my excuses, my life would be much different than it is today. The amount of confidence, ability, and experience that I've gained from that single decision alone has paid dividends every year since. Epictetus believed that being able to differentiate between what is and isn't under your control was so important that he called it the chief task in life, and he broke down this ability into 2 simple and necessary steps. First, you must clearly identify and separate the things that you can and cannot control. And second, influence your outcomes by affecting what you can control through your decisions and actions. When you accept and recognize that your present and future are indeed determined by what you choose to do at this very moment, each action moving forward becomes purposeful and intentional. You'll not only begin to feel empowered in your own life, but will naturally start striving toward better outcomes for yourself. And not only does shifting your locus of control internally encourage you to take responsibility for your current situation, it emboldens you with the power of change and grants you the status of captain of your own ship. The simple truth is that life is already difficult as it is, and there's no shortage of misfortune for one to experience. But to refuse to take control of the things that you can is to accept the role of victim to your circumstances. Instead of bemoaning your current situation, whatever that may be, choose to be the hero of your own journey and take an active part in determining the outcome of your future. To put it simply, we aren't here to be passengers to our own life, so decide to take an active role and start building the life that you want to live. Control what you can and let the rest fall where it may. Anyways, that's it for this video, y'all. If you enjoyed what I had to say here, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to help with the mystical YouTube algorithm. And if you have any feedback, comments, questions, whatever you have, feel free to share it in the comments below. And I'm gonna try to put these videos out on a 2-week cadence, so keep an eye out and take it easy, y'all.